Owner fired my dad, then came asking for work. Denied. Back in 1997, my stepdad, Jeff, was the operations manager at this telecommunications company doing construction work. I was just 17 when he hired me for what was supposed to be a summer job, but honestly, I fell in love with the work. The pay was decent, I got to be outside all day, and I was actually good at climbing poles and running cable. 4 months in, I figured I'd found my career path. That's when everything went sideways. My stepdad and the owner, this guy named Rick, got into this stupid argument over something totally ridiculous. I can't even remember what it was about, but it was one of those petty workplace disputes that shouldn't have mattered. Rick was the type who had to win every conversation, even when he was wrong. My stepdad was pretty laid back, but he wasn't gonna kiss anyone's butt either, so Rick fired him. Just like that. 20 years of experience, gone because of some trivial disagreement that probably lasted 5 minutes. The weird thing was, since Jeff and I have different last names, nobody at the company connected us. I kept my mouth shut about being related to him because I still needed the job. Plus, I had my own issues with Rick's company. They were constantly screwing up my paychecks, paying me late, and I never got the health benefits they promised when I started. The whole place was sketchy, but I stuck it out because I needed the money and the experience. I ended up working there for another year and a half, dealing with Rick's terrible management and broken promises. Finally got fed up and left to work for one of the major telecommunications providers we'd been doing subcontract work for. Way better company, actual benefits, and they paid on time every week like clockwork. Fast forward about 3 years. I'd worked my way up and was now in charge of hiring contractors for construction projects. It was a good position, decent money, and I had real authority to decide who got work and who didn't. The projects I handed out were usually worth between $75,000 and $200,000 each, and I'd approve 20 to 30 projects per year. For a small contractor, getting on my approved list could basically make their whole business. One random Tuesday, my phone rings and it's Rick. I recognized his voice immediately, but he clearly had no clue who I was. He's talking all smooth, asking if we could meet for lunch to discuss getting his company on my contractor list. Says he wants to pitch me on why his company would be perfect for our projects. I'm sitting there thinking this has got to be karma calling, but I play it cool and agree to meet him at this fancy steakhouse downtown. The kind of place with cloth napkins and waiters who refill your water every 2 minutes. Rick shows up in his best suit, all smiles and handshakes. Starts giving me this whole sales pitch about how his company values their employees, takes great care of their workers, produces quality work. He's going on and on about their track record, listing all these big companies they've done work for, really laying it on thick. I'm just sitting there eating my steak, nodding along, letting him dig himself deeper. Finally, I mentioned that I used to work for a telecommunications contractor before I got this job. He perks up, probably thinking we have something in common. Oh, really? Which company? He asks. Yours, actually. You hired me back in 1997. His fork stops halfway to his mouth. You can see the wheels turning in his head, trying to place me. I don't really remember, he says, clearly uncomfortable now. Yeah, I figured you wouldn't. But maybe you remember the guy who hired me? Jeff Morrison, your operations manager? The color just drains right out of his face. His eyes go wide and he sets his fork down. Now he remembers Jeff all right, and probably remembers firing him over nothing. He was my stepdad, I say, taking another bite of my steak. Rick starts stumbling over his words, trying to backtrack. Oh well, you know, business decisions, nothing personal, things happen. I let him squirm for a minute, then I put my napkin down and stand up. Thanks for lunch, Rick. Really appreciate you buying, but I'm gonna have to pass on adding your company to my list. See, my contractor roster is full up with companies that actually know how to treat their employees right, companies that don't fire good people over petty nonsense. I shake his hand, all professional, but hey, I'll definitely keep you in mind if anything changes. Never heard from him again after that.